So today I'm joined by Maria Musgrove-Wethey from the Pantiles Bride. Hello, Maria. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me, Carol.
So tell me, how did you get started in the wedding industry?
Would you like the short version or the shaggy dog version?
The shaggy dog,
All
always.
right. Well, I'll try to give you the short, shaggy dog
Okay.
version. All right. So, completely by accident is the short version.
Right.
All right. Was it an accident? Oh, my goodness. 35 years ago, I was getting married for the second time. And I'd looked at wedding gowns in the UK, but I was getting married on a very teeny Caribbean island called Vieques, which isn't on the map, just off Puerto Rico. So I knew I'd been looking as a bride. Went out there, got married, very, very simple dress I wore. It was just the two of us. And then we just did a detour back to the US on the way home. And I went to a factory outlet. And in this factory outlet, there were literally wedding gowns there for $60 a piece. Well, they were in the halcyon days of $2 to the pound. So, wouldn't we like those days nowadays? So I literally bought half a dozen dresses. So I invested, $320, about 160 quid, bought a new suitcase. And they were in the days of British Airways when you could take as much luggage as you wanted to. And I was down the back in cattle class and literally wrote my business plan as it was on the back of a menu. Because you used to get one in those days, even down the back. All right. And I came home and honestly, Carol, it was literally just a whim. I'm a Sagittarian, so I think it was just one of those complete and utter. It was no business plan. It was literally just a whim, all right, because at the time I was working for a big international training company, running around the world and the countryside, running customer service training courses. And I wanted to get pregnant because I was 35. And I thought, this is not really going to be conducive, being away from home for 100 days a year, at least minimum, in kind of a slightly older bride, older mother, trying to get pregnant. So I literally started the business in my back bedroom in an oast house in Lamberhurst and did a hire business. Well, I didn't turn over very much money. And in those 5 years, I still didn't get pregnant. And there was an opportunity to open in Tunbridge Wells because a lot of retailers were closing. So I thought it's now or never. The Pantiles was nowhere near as gorgeous as it is now.
Yeah.
And I started in the Corn Exchange and I took it from there. So that was 1997. And in that time, in the next 5 years, we actually went from one location to 6 locations from the southeast to South Yorkshire. I don't know whether you know that. We were in concessions in department stores. And that was how I got started.
Wow. That's amazing.
By accident.
Completely by accident. Gosh. So had you had any retail experience before at all?
Yes, I had. If we rewind to my first job, it was actually as a management trainee in House of Fraser.
Ah, okay.
All right. But only a couple of years then, and then I went into personnel and training, and that's how I became an international presenter. But I think that Bridal, to be honest, is as much about people and connecting with people as it is about retail and sales.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think that is, my husband actually has come from the motor industry, which is quite heavy sales driven. And, he would say, well, are you qualifying your customers? And I went, what do you mean qualify? It's not kind of a qualifying for the Olympic race or whatever. What are their objections? I said, they don't object, Do you follow them up? Oh, my goodness, that would be too scary. So really, I never came from that. I came from a retail background, but more a people background, I would say, and not a heavy sales background, because I think that very much people smell that kind of hard sell, particularly in bridal.
The wedding world is all about people. It's not a hard sell.
It's about connections. I mean, this is one of those life moments. I mean, I say that there are kind of 3 great life moments. There's probably when you're born, you don't know too much about that, and possibly if you are christened or baptised or whatever ceremony there may be, actually, if you are religious, even if you're not religious, welcome to the world, you probably don't remember too much about that. No. Then there's the wedding, and then there's the other end, kind of sperm to worm, which you don't know too much about either. Yeah. So it is such a celebration. It's a bringing together of families, cultures. So I think to be part of that, whether it be providing the wedding gown, whether it be videography, whether it be photography, whether it be catering, I think it's very special.
Yeah, no, it is, isn't it? It really is. So which designers do you stock in the shop?
We're niche, and our main designer is Suzanne Neville, who is like just worship the ground she walks on. I mean, for me, she's one of the only couturiers left in the UK who literally, she produces in the UK. She cuts her patterns in the old-fashioned way. And she's so on the ball because she has her own retail outlet in Knightsbridge. And yes, she is seeing celebrities like Catherine Jenkins, Holly Willoughby, but she is connected with real brides still.
Yeah.
So she understands what is happening, what's trending, why they might want it changed slightly. So we've been a retailer of hers for well over 20 years. So she is our core.
Uh-huh.
However, because she is at the top of her game and because she produces and manufactures in the UK, then they're not affordable to everybody because they are, to buy a Suzanne Neville, really, it's £3,000 to £4,500.
Right.
So we have introduced, and it's rather tricky to find good designers to sit alongside her.
Yeah.
However, we have sourced 2 other UK designers. Doesn't necessarily have to be a UK designer. And we're dealing with Frida Bennett, much more affordable. They start around about 2,000, just sub 2,000. And Frida Bennett, there isn't a Frida. It is Fred and Ben, who are the sons of Christine and her business partner.
Oh.
I like a bit of a story behind my designers. They're based in Orpington. And
so nice and close.
They're close, but that isn't really an issue. And as I said, it doesn't have to be a British designer, but they've been in bridal they used to have a company called Lulu Bridesmaids Dresses. They just know their stuff. And again, they will bespoke their designs. They will change fabrics. They'll change necklines, which again is what Suzanne does. And then I'm just about to introduce a company called Paul Zenny.
Okay.
And there used to be a Paul, but sadly he's no longer with us. But his widow, Marina, used to be Hollywood Dreams. These were these huge, big dresses. Right. And she has reinvented herself as Paul Zenny. And again, I just know her cuts. I know her patterns. Yeah. And again, her flexibility. And then we have absolutely kind of pole opposites because they're all quite fairly clean, classic, timeless, contemporary designers with the ability to bespoke. But I also have these little short cutie dresses.
Oh, wow.
Because you've possibly seen this as a trend when you've been kind of going out and videoing weddings, that brides often are going, I really want to let my hair down and party. So for the last hour and a half, they're going to wear some real funky little dresses. Yeah. It's amazing. When they come in, they put them on, their body language changes. They do this little coquettish bit and like, look at me.
All the sass comes out.
Yeah, well, it just comes out. It's amazing. Yeah. They all do this little thing with the leg and just do this bit. And often we've got weddings where people are having a 3-day wedding abroad in some fabulous French chateau or in a vineyard in South Africa. And so then they possibly want that gown for the evening before or maybe the evening afterwards or even for hen parties. So that's really short, cutie. And that's Bywater's little white dress. So
you've got a whole range.
Got a whole range, yeah. But it's not too many designers because we don't want to confuse people.
Yeah.
We stick to our lane, which really is clean, classic, contemporary, timeless, elegant gowns, possibly with a contemporary twist. And then we go pole opposite with the short cuties.
Yeah, perfect. And how long should a bride start looking for her dress before the actual wedding day?
Well, usually they've got a ring on it at this point, as the song goes. Hopefully. We have had a few, if anybody's seen Muriel's Wedding, where she kind of pretends to get married, which is one of my favourite movies. So I think it's got a lot of life messages anyway, going off the point. Well, I usually say, find the person you're going to marry, please. Okay. We have had brides going, I think he's going to propose, so I'm coming in.
Gosh,
and
really?
that's okay. It's okay. They usually just come and have a browse, or maybe they've come in for a bridesmaid appointment or with their sister or friend, and they have a quick little rummage through. But usually I say, I'm not answering your question directly, I appreciate it here. Usually when you're going to get married, okay, you've got your life partner. That at least the season you're getting married.
Yeah.
Ideally where you're getting married.
Okay.
Now, for some people, that might be 2 years, 18 months before the wedding. For some people, it could be 6 months before the wedding. 6 months is quite a short lead time. I have had somebody in this week who is getting married on the 17th of July.
Wow.
And I can do it because, again, my designers are, UK-based one production is in the UK. However, that's tight. That is very tight because often you can get into rush order charges if you're less than 3 to 4 months before the wedding, and you need to allow at least 2 months to have the dress fitted and altered. Yeah. So I think a good timeline is probably a year
Right.
before, because not everyone's going to make a decision on the day. And I don't want somebody to feel that they have to make a decision.
Yeah.
If not, the kind of taximeter's running on whether they're going to get a dress. So a year is good because it allows somebody to go away and reflect a little bit. Is this the dress for me? Do I want to buy it from Maria at Pantiles Bride? Of course they're going to. I'm going to say that.
Of
but
course.
it is. I always say to my brides, it's a journey you're on.
Uh-huh.
It might be a very short, direct route. You come in, you try on the first dress, job done.
Yeah.
That's fine. Or it might be that you need to go and reflect. It's a little bit like kind of men, you kind of play the field a little bit and then kind of you come back to kind of
one.
Yeah, you pick one, yes. So about a year is a good timeline.
Okay.
It can be less if anybody needs that. Ideally 9 months to a year is perfect.
So talk us through the process. So a bride has chosen her dress with you. Talk us through what happens then once they've made the decision.
So she's chosen her dress, then it would be, give me some money, please. Give me some money, honey. All right, so 50% deposit usually. And then we order the gown. If it is really way out, maybe if somebody's ordered the dress a year out, then I would say, okay, the conversation, one has to be very careful. You basically want to say, are you going to put on any weight? Are you going to lose any weight? Because people are perfect as they are.
Yeah.
However, most brides will say, I'm going to drop, I'm going to get to a size 10 and I'm looking at somebody who's never been a size 10 in their life. Never mind, move on from that one. All right. Usually, if it's really way out, I'll say, look, let's get you back for measurements, probably still 9 months before the wedding.
Right.
That's an ideal timeline, 9 or 8 months. But the dress goes into production. The dress usually comes in 2 to 3 months before the wedding, and fittings will start 2 months before the wedding because and that bride needs her shoes at that point, any underwear she's wearing. She comes in, has the fitting. Now, I would say that before we used to offer an in-house alteration service, but my lovely Alexandra, who's been with me for 12 years and has had 20 years in bridal, has set up her own alteration studio in Tunbridge Wells.
Right.
So now it will be someone coming in and trying on their dress with us, quality checking it, and then they book in with Alexandra,
Right.
or they may find someone else that they want to go to. The dress gets collected from me by Alexandra, so no one has to take the dress home at all. Perfect. And then fittings would start with Alexandra 2 months before the wedding. Usually a month before the wedding, come in to check that we've taken the hem up correctly. There haven't been any weight adjustments, weight adjustments, or it might be somebody's worked out at the gym, to be honest. It sometimes isn't even about the scales. It's sometimes about people bulking out these days. And then usually the dress is collected anywhere to 2 weeks or even the day before, before the wedding.
Okay.
If it's a wedding abroad, then if we can pack it in kind of hand luggage, then we would do that because we always recommend, please do not put it in the hold, because that will be the one time when your luggage ends up in Timbuktu rather than in Toulouse,
Yeah.
So it's tried and tested. It's just that our one slight difference now is it's not going to be alterations done in-house at Pantiles unless I can find someone else. But these people are as rare as rocking horse droppings. So I trust Alexandra, and her studio is in Tunbridge Wells. So that's perfect.
And I mean, what happens if, I have seen one fail I have seen on a wedding day.
Okay.
A bride had put on a little bit of weight, shall we say, and her dress didn't fit on the day. And there was a huge panic. And it was a case of she had to wear a shawl all day because it didn't fit. So, I mean, can you help if they do suddenly put on weight at the last minute?
Not on our watch, because we do that 2 months before and then a month before. It's hardly likely that someone in a month really is going to bulk out that much, And we would say at that point, if someone is working out at the gym, then stop doing it 2 months before your wedding, 3 months before the wedding. This is where you are. He loves you as you are.
Yeah.
But someone could be on steroids. There could be some medication problems.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
You never know. But then the more honest and transparent someone is with us or with Alexandra, because she used to deal with all that side of the business, then we can work with you.
Yeah.
That's the point. There was a question you're possibly going to ask me, which is like, what's the worst moment? What's the worst moment? Yeah. It wasn't at a wedding. It was actually someone many years ago, my goodness, probably about 20 years ago. And she was quite a big girl. She was a size 22, 24. Okay. And we'd done the measurements. The gown, again, was being made in the UK. Lovely designer, Alan Hannah, and his wife, Marguerite, in North London. Very good designer. And she was having what we call a toile, which is a calico canvas, because she was a big girl, all over. So that the calico canvas had come in, that had been fitted to her. Her dress came in as usual 2 months before the wedding. Was put on her, and it nearly dropped off her.
Oh no!
It nearly dropped her. And my team, I wasn't actually there at the day. This is an apocryphal story, but it is the truth. My team thought, oh my goodness, have we got the right dress? Did we order the right size? Because we always think we are to blame.
Yeah.
We always think we are to blame. We take everything very seriously. And they looked at the measures and thought, no. And she went, silly little kind of girly giggle. She said, Mum, shall I tell them? Tell us what? Well, I had a gastric band fitted.
No.
And I've lost 4 stone. I mean, it had worked. And I've actually had it tightened today. So I might even lose another stone before the wedding.
God.
I mean, she'd gone down about 6 sizes, Carol.
Wow.
Now, we did manage to alter that dress because she'd lost the weight. But as a result of that, I lost a very good seamstress because she said, I cannot do this ever again.
That must have been very stressful.
It was stressful because we didn't want, by rights, she'd frustrated her contract with us.
Yeah.
Because it's all of our terms and conditions, if you actually change shape or weight substantially and we feel that we're not able to alter the dress because it will change the integrity of the dress.
Yeah.
And that's what the wording says, because it could have changed it completely.
Totally.
And then, of course, someone's going to come back and say, well, this isn't the dress that I ordered.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you aren't the size that you were when you ordered the dress.
But was she a different shape as well? Because that,
people don't usually say the same shape, the same body shape. If somebody's got a pear shape, there'll always be a pear shape. If somebody's kind of got a big bust, there'll always be slim legs. But it's just that people go down and down and down. So we did alter it, but really that was. And if she just told us and informed us,
we could have dealt with it.
We could, because it was in the UK anyway, production.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the Far East where a lot of dresses are made in the Far East. And they just said, right, okay, halt production, give us the measures, that's fine. We'll deliver the dress probably even a month before the wedding if you can accommodate doing hems and last minute changes. So for me, the message there, just communicate with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just communicate with us. And, it can be a sensitive questions asking people about weight and size and things. But it's so important because we're asking it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Totally. I do remember because I actually bought I was one of your first customers.
I was going to mention that.
Back in 97. And I remember I lost weight. Probably I did drop quite a bit, but luckily I remember it was all within the time frames. And it was
taking a dress in 2 sizes is easy. Recently someone had lost 3 sizes and the gown was taken in beautifully at that point. But when it's got to be taken down about 6 sizes, that is quite.
It's too much, isn't it?
A challenge, yes. Yeah. And as to putting on weight, that is tricky. I mean, a gown can be, because Suzanne's are couture made, they really made almost not to be altered, except a smidge, really. Yeah. So, I mean, a gown can be a more manufactured gown has probably got about an inch and a half seam allowance, that you could get out of it. But, things can be done like putting in a discreet lace at back, not a great big corset lace at back. COVID was a classic example of that, where literally, obviously, some people went on a big health kick and lost weight, but a lot of people were more couch potatoes and comfort eating and drinking. And brides who then came back and were getting married, maybe even just with the 10 people or 20 people, we all forget, don't we? Yeah. And 1 or 2 of them had put on quite a bit of weight. 1 or 2 of them had babies in between. And we worked miracles because we had the time. Yeah. We had the time. We put in pieces at the side. On one, we actually put in about this much, huge back panel. We had to have new back panels made. We've got little tailors of Gloucester working for us. But as long as people communicate with us, I think that's the thing, and we've got the time to do it. We will jump over a lot of hurdles so that someone hasn't got to reinvest in a new dress.
Yeah. And how do you make brides feel at ease and comfortable when they come in for a fitting with you?
I mean, it's getting to know them. What we like to do is, yes, we do have automated systems for, you book an appointment and that comes through. But really, I like to get to know them even before they walk through that door. Right. Even about their venue, asking them questions. So some brides don't want to do that. It's very, very transactional at first because they're busy. They just want, most of us now are used to booking a restaurant, aren't we? Just click online, that's it, But where possible, it's lovely to at least have some emails so that you're starting to get to feel somebody. But really, I just chat to them first for about 5-10 minutes, have a consultation with them. And not too long because they're desperate to get into a dress and start trying on the dresses. And I think it's just, in a few minutes they're going to be taken kind of to a fitting room and having to take their clothes off in front of a complete and utter stranger.
Yeah.
Possibly helps that I'm a little bit older, so they possibly know that they're in better condition than I am when they get the kit off. I think it's just chatting to people, putting them at ease and answering their questions. We ask brides to pre-select their dresses because this is a hangover from COVID days.
Yeah.
Because we were very strict, our risk assessment was very strict. Nobody knew whether or not COVID lingered on fabrics or whatever. So we used to say, look, pre-select, when we could open again, pre-select your dresses.
Right.
And of course, it's easier to choose something when you see it on a body, whereas when you come into our boutique, particularly when there isn't too much light and shade between the gowns, because they're all pretty clean and classic gowns, you can't really see.
Yeah, because you've got a lot of gowns in that shop, haven't you?
Well, we haven't got as many people, but they're clean, classic. You can't really see what they're going to look like.
Yeah.
So we still say, look at our website. We want people to realise that we are not all things to all people.
Yeah.
And if they want a satin glitzy meringue or they want it kind of very lacy, they want it boho, that's not what we do. We stick to our lane. So that's the first thing, because a lot of people say, I want to come to Pantiles Bride. You've been there for 28 years. I want to come. And we go, have you looked at our website? No, I just want to come and see you. So it's absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. But please, we're a certain aesthetic and we know what we like to do and we stick with that. So I also, we're not the best place to come to first if you want to play the field again. You need to know kind of that's what I'm looking for. So actually we always ask them to kind of pre-select the gowns, but we make it perfectly clear that we're not limiting them to that selection.
Right. But at least they know roughly what they're going to be looking at, don't they?
Yeah. And then we just say, look, you can choose any. So we allow people to have a look through and real rummage, like not quite a jumble sale. And I think a lot of boutiques are saying, no, you've chosen those gowns, you can't try any more.
Right, okay.
And I think I would hate that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I've come and I've paid for my appointment and you're not even let me have a look. So we're really very careful to say, look, in the time we've got 90 minutes to an hour, 2 hours, 90 minutes to 2 hours, we can choose as many as you want.
Yeah.
And I'll work as fast or as slow. If somebody goes, I hate it, I'll go, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not even worthy of the shoes. You don't even need to go out there. You don't even need to go out and show everybody.
And how many people do brides to be normally bring with them on the appointment? Is it? So I guess you need to kind of limit that a little bit. Do you?
We try not to say you can't have babies and you can't have this and you can't have that. This is a celebration. This is a really emotional time for people. It's celebratory. So often people want to, part of the celebration is even before the event.
Yeah.
So they want to bring a lot of people with them. So we try to guide them and say, look, of course you can bring in 6, 7 people. Comfortably, we can seat 3.
Right.
And so he goes, well, it's my mum and grandma and 3 sisters. Well, how on earth are they going to say, which one's not going to?
Yeah.
But we try to guide that really, if you just want a fun day out, bring loads of people. Of course, the more people you have, the more opinions you will have. And it will get in the way of making progress. If you're 15 months out and you're just going to lots of shops, by all means, bring the congregation almost with the entourage. But when it's starting to get serious, then we just say, bring whose opinion you trust and who can be purely objective about you. Because I hear so many people writing, oh, well, I wouldn't wear that. Oh, my goodness, no. What I wore on my wedding, oh, my God, here we go. It's like kind of, it's not about you.
Yeah.
Sack her next time, all right? And usually in the fishing room, the bride's going, you were so right. And I go, it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll just play, and then you come back maybe with mum or sister or best friend or whoever you feel. Or some brides go, I'm coming on my own, so because I know what I like. Our average bride's probably about 30, in her 30s.
Right.
She's a professional woman, or some of them are beautiful homemakers and their mums who are doing a grand job doing that. But a lot of them are that, and they know their own mind.
Yeah.
And often they just come with mum. Or if mum's not around anymore, then they'll come with a really great friend or sister. And they just say, this is kind of a lovely celebration for me to have with somebody who's really special to me rather than this gaggle of girls.
Yeah.
But if they want to bring the gaggle of girls, if you want to bring a baby, bring a baby.
I'm guessing you don't let toddlers in the shop, though.
Do you know, we do.
Do you?
Think about it, Carol. These days, a lot of people have had babies before they get married. Okay. Or their sister has got a baby, or their best friend has got a baby, and maybe they haven't got any childcare, or mum is their childcare, and they've got nobody else
So they
for
have
the
to.
childcare, because we live, often we're not kind of that old-fashioned way where mum lived round the corner and the extended family did. We're often a long way away from each other. So sometimes getting childcare. So I say, look, ideally, it's lovely for you to have it almost like a spa day, have a day out with mum or friends, whatever. But if they can't, I say, bring in the baby. Bring in the toddler, and as long as there's somebody to look after the toddler, and as long as it's not going to get in the way of you and your appointments. And some boutiques say, absolutely not. And I just think, well, one has to kind of make allowances.
And it's a lovely experience going to your shop, isn't it? Because obviously the Pantiles is, the highlight of Tunbridge Wells, and it's just the most beautiful place to go anyway. Yeah. And I'd imagine they make a whole day of it. They probably go and have lunch or...
Yeah, I mean, and when I say make a day of it, there are a few other boutiques in the town. And actually, we all stick to our lane. We've all got something different to offer. So the appeal is often, well, we can go to 2 or 3 shops. I would say 2, to be honest, is enough. But when we used to have 5 boutiques in Tunbridge Wells, and people used to do Roadrunner. It's like speed dating around the boutiques, and the friends and the entourage were having a gay old time. By 4 o'clock, the bride was absolutely, completely out of it, because it's actually hard work standing, having a dress put on you, having it pinned, getting into your heels, being paraded out like a show pony to everybody if they brought the entourage, and coming back in again, and then having to still make a decision about what you're liking and time to filter it down and do kind of an elimination game on what you like. But you're right. The Pantiles is just a jewel in the crown of the southeast.
Fabulous, isn't it?
And people do make a day of it, and they just love it because it's like a pamper day, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you stock bridesmaids dresses at all?
I do. I stock Desi Bridesmaids, which has got an amazing portal. I mean, for a bride looking at bridesmaids dresses, you go on, you can literally just click it, find the colour, you can order swatches free of charge, 3 free of charge, and they send you more than I've got, which is like a little postage stamp. And I'm seeing a real trend now. I think a lot of people went away from having many bridesmaids. They were buying online. I can't blame them at all. I mean, there is so much about there online. But then I think if somebody just wants royal blue or blush, that's fine, because there's a plethora of product out there. But if someone's very specific about the shade that they want, some of their dresses come in about 25 different shades, so it's not just like one shade of green. It's, vineyard green, it's evergreen, it's sage, it's celadon, it's willow. And some people are very specific about what they want. And I've got a great online portal. Delivery can be 8 weeks, but it's just jumped to about 12 weeks now. So I've been all over my portal recently. But if anyone buys a gown from us, we always offer 10%, because it's kind of a little bit of a thank you to somebody. And even if someone hasn't bought a gown, if they've got a big bridal party of 5 or more, I'll offer 10% as well, because they're obviously not the prices of ASOS. I mean, they start about 189 up to 300, most of them about 250. But the quality, I've got to say, has improved dramatically. I'd say even over in the last 4 years. Bridesmaids will try and say, oh my goodness, this feels really nice. I think that Desi's up their game, realising that they've got competition. So for them to actually charge a bit of a premium price, then actually that needs to be premium quality and service as well.
But it's worth it, isn't it, to get that quality? Because, that the bridesmaid, yes, they've still got to wear that dress all day.
They have.
And, it's important that it's good
and I mean,
quality.
they do them in, the crepe, which is not quite as popular now, but the luxe chiffon is lovely. The charmeuse is like a kind of bias cut, so girls go, oh my goodness, I'm going to be wearing this out. That's absolutely fabulous. So there's all sorts, and they go from size 00 right the way up to like size 36, something like that's US size as well. So that's about 40. Yeah. And the nice thing is they have a decent selection of junior bridesmaids as well, because there's that in-betweeny age where they're kind of 11 to 13, and even though they might be kind of quite full-busted 11-year-olds, and their nape to waist and everything is all wrong, but they've got something that looks similar. So really good sizing and good choice as well.
So what sort of tips can you give brides-to-be about finding a dress within their budget?
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, that's a really important one, because we're not cheap. We're not the cheapest. Even starting at 2,000 with kind of the other brands I'm bringing in. I would just say be really honest with yourself and just Yeah, and some brides will come in and say, I am not trying on anything that's not within budget. And I go, look, okay, so possibly I might be prepared to sell on the sample if it fits you. Would you be happy to try that on? But I just think it's heartbreaking when someone tries on a dress, says budget doesn't matter. Well, we've all got a budget for something or other, haven't we, really? Unless you are, an oligarch, billionaire, all right. And I just say, just be honest with yourself. Or if you really want it, then there are going to be things that possibly you would change your mind on the wedding, because lots of brides actually have a budget for the overall wedding, and then they can choose. I mean, again, my bride today, she had decided her mum was buying her dress and had said round about £2,000. It was £4,300. That was her choice,
right?
Not mine.
Yeah,
I'm very transparent on the B word, the budget word, because I say, look, if you want a Neville and someone said to me, I'm going to spend about £2,000, I go, just letting you know now. And again, it's good to do that before the appointment, because what I never want to come across as is, that famous scene in Pretty Woman,
absolutely. You don't ever want that.
You never ever want that. And it's much easier to have that conversation beforehand. And just say, if they're your favourite dresses, heads up, this is what it is. Are you happy? And often people go, I just tick that box, But then some brides will come in and say, absolutely not. And I go, you can try on anything you want. You've paid £40 for your appointment. The shop is yours. It's like a chocolate box for you. And they go, absolutely not, because I'll be tempted. And I go, I love you. I absolutely love you. However, kind of with that kind of budget thing in mind, we have recognised that there are people, for all sorts of reasons, there are people who've got the money and don't want to spend it. They're choosing not to spend it. There are people who are very much about sustainability and saving the planet, as well as saving money. So we're offering a pre-loved a service to brides who bought from us, and we're starting up a pre-loved section.
Brilliant. I've just seen that on your Instagram. I thought it was a brilliant idea. So is that within the same shop?
It's within the same boutique. And we're saying, look, if you bought your dress from us, or even anybody who hasn't bought the dress from us, as long as it's been £2,500 plus, I don't want to start getting into dresses which are £1,000, £1,500 new. I mean, if I still have my Go Bridal boutique, but we actually sold the premises on that last year, then I would do that, because that's what we did there. We did anything from £400 up to about £1,500 there.
Yeah.
But it needs to be a premium product, and we're offering that as a service. I mean, obviously we can take a commission on that, but then the bride can give it to us. She could put it on other platforms if she wants to, but then we are marketing it. We know whether or not we can recommend alterations to the gown. And often someone who hasn't got the budget initially, if there's a possibility, and I also, we cannot promise to sell it for you, but that's a possibility whether we sell it or not. There is a good market. It's a bit like second-hand cars. There's a good market for good premium gowns. They've only been worn once at the end of the day.
Exactly. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And will you take in any design, or is it only the designers?
As long as they're over 2.5, they've been started life as 2,500. Probably less than 2 years old, or it's still current on that designer's website, because it's like anything. If there's a new version of the iPhone, people only want that version of the iPhone, don't they? Yeah. There are some absolute classic gowns of Suzanne Neville's that might be 4 years old. I'd be very happy to bring that in, because it's just an evergreen dress. She actually has it on her website as a classic gown. We know that that's a dress that is in demand. Yeah. But other gowns might have just kind of fallen off, so I had somebody knocking on my door and she heard about it, and it was a gown that was, wait for this, Carol, it was 30 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought, well, is it for her or is it for her daughter? Because she was about as old as I was, this lady. And I said, look, I said, is it for your daughter? She said, no, it's mine. She said, I know you're doing pre-loved. And I said, well, what? And I said, look, that's more, I said, if you don't mind me saying so, vintage. She was actually quite upset. And I thought, oh dear, I didn't land very well. I said, look, so my criteria for anyone listening is preferably just 2 years old, or it's a classic gown. It's 2,500. It's been dry cleaned already, or you're going to send it off for dry cleaning. All right. And obviously, if it's got lots and lots of in the dry cleaning, sometimes even the best dry cleaners, if somebody's partied hard and it's got red wine down it and it's still got mud marks, I'm not going to be able to sell that unless somebody maybe pays to have a new overskirt or something on it. But that's really something. We're just trying to move with the times, Carol.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. Really good idea.
We've already sold a couple.
Brilliant.
And one is a lovely story. If I can tell this story.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was appropriate. Someone, she had been married before, and so when she even had her gift list, it was money, but she gave a proportion of that gift list actually to a food shelter where she works in Tunbridge Wells. And it was the very first pre-loved dress we sold. It was a Sassy Holford dress, beautiful Sassy Holford gown. You had Sassy Holford.
Yeah.
And she actually gave a proportion of that money that she got back to the food shelter.
Oh,
again.
that's lovely.
And I just thought that is so lovely. Not that I would expect anybody to do that.
Yeah.
They can spend their money on whatever they want. But I thought that was such a
That's really lovely.
such a lovely gesture. We actually put a story on our Instagram page about that as well.
That's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love that. Lovely. So obviously you will have seen a lot of changes in the industry over the years. What are the trends coming up that you're seeing that you think are going to be quite amazing?
In fashion,
Yes.
in fashion, definitely this two dress, or even. Okay, I think again, go back to COVID. I mentioned that the C word quite a lot. I think people have thought, my wedding, my way.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've seen this as well.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to say I do get some brides in their 20s coming to see me, but often people have been living together, they do know their own mind, they've possibly got children or all, they know what they want, and they just, I've got a girlfriend, for instance, who's getting married. She's 69, she's 70, and her fiance they're both widowed. Her fiance had said, "Oh, let's have a big wedding. Let's do this, let's do that." Then he was an accountant. When she actually gave him how much it was going to cost, he went, "Ooh." And believe you me, they're both okay. And I've just seen her today for coffee, actually, and she just said, "It's just going to be probably 8 of us, family."
Yeah.
She said, "We're just going to do it the way we want to do it." So I think that people do it their way. I think there's a big emphasis generally on the quality of food and drink.
Yeah.
Or they want a party. I think it's more relaxed now. I don't think it's as even if
not
it
as
is
formal.
It's not as formal. It's not as formal. They may still have, the church. They may still have the marquee. But I think people are wanting to party. It's a celebration.
Yeah.
I think there is the trend now for the bride to have the gown that she wants, all right, and then she wants to party hard.
Yeah.
And there are some dresses that will do both, Anne, but you're still going to have to, pull up the train. You're still going to have to do that. And before, some people might just get married to a slinky dress, but I think there's this yes, I want to really get down and boogie in this kind of, this second dress. And we embraced that last year because brides were coming in and saying to us, "Well, I bought a dress somewhere else." And we're thinking, maybe this is something we should do. And we went to a very established supplier. We used to do, we worked with Willoughby for years and years and years. So Rotters were years. So we just thought, no, we'll get from them. So
Brilliant.
And that's something else. And also, just sometimes people just want to go off, 2 of them, registry office, like Islington Town Hall, Marylebone Town Hall, Chelsea Town Hall. And then it is the iconic short dress with the very 60s full veil, isn't it, really? Yeah. So actually those short wedding dresses they're fulfilling kind of three points, really, kind of second dress or, hen night or beforehand if it's a 3-day wedding. And actually I want to just get married, that iconic kind of, cute bride.
We've actually seen certainly last season, I think we had about 3 or 4 brides that changed into the short dresses, and it's fabulous. It's great.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Yeah,
really
and
lovely.
then there is kind of there is a second marriage, and people in their 60s and 70s. I mean, that's something that that'd be my age, wouldn't it, if I got remarried? But I would like to think there's something niche I could do for that, but I think again that's really quite niche, and it's too niche for me. So. I think some people can wear white when they're older, but, it's a bit hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite hard.
I kind of think just wear something that you're just going to wear again as well. Yeah.
And how much can you, if a bride comes in and if she's got a very set idea on what she wants, how much can you actually customise a dress?
We can customise within what that designer is providing. Right. All right. And someone will say, "Oh, I like the neckline of that and that and that," and it's 3 different designs. I go, no. We just need to go back to here. Yeah. All right. But we're not a kind of bespoke from scratch. That's again, stick to your lane. Yeah. Know what you're doing. There are other people out there who do that. But we have, I think we did one Suzanne Neville dress that Alexandra did a bespoke design on, was 4 different dresses.
Wow.
It was the fabric of one, it was the skirt of another, it was the overskirt of another one, it was the neckline of one with a sleeve added.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's within kind of that palette almost, what that designer does. But raise the neckline is easy for us to do, but we very much, quite often we will be putting the skirt of one with the top of another, two changes. Uh-huh. in there, because we know Suzanne so well. We've been with her for over 20 years, so we just know what works.
Yeah.
And she'll tell us, what are you thinking of? That never happens, all right. And obviously Frida Bennett, we're getting to know, and I've worked with Marina for years as well. So, I mean, for instance, right, okay, so one girl last year, my first order I did with Marina at Paul Zenny, she was getting married in about 8 weeks. She was going to be 30 weeks pregnant when she got married, and it was the winter, and we literally put a dress, this was a dress which just had a little shoestring strap. We put a shoulder on it, we put a sleeve in it, we filled in the back, okay, to make it more solid, and we gave her a little bit more room through the bodice, obviously. Wow. And it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Yeah.
And what's the funniest thing that's ever happened during a fitting?
Oh my goodness, this was a Chinese lady. This is another apocryphal tale. I mean, there is the one obviously about the dress dropping off when she lost 6 dress sizes. This was a lady. She was well into her 50s, but because she was Asian, you almost couldn't tell whether she was 60 or whether she was 30. She was very, very petite. So she did have a Suzanne Neville, Gracie, one of my favourite dresses. I think you would probably still be able to Google it. Gracie from Suzanne Neville, iconic gown. Full skirt, and I would normally say somebody 60 should not be wearing this, but she looked amazing. She was extremely petite. She was extremely superstitious, all right. So she'd been having some dreams, she'd been having premonitions, and the Chinese, I can say this because my daughter is from China, so I understand quite a bit about the culture, are superstitious, okay. So she came in and she said, I need to see my dress. I need to bless the dress. She wanted to go in and she wanted to give the dress a blessing, and we thought,
oh my goodness.
We call them, shouldn't we say this on camera, crazy, cray. So I think that's kind of, that's just, and then she was so superstitious. She was marrying somebody who actually wasn't in the best of health. I think this is what was driving it. And then she came in. Remember, she's very petite, got quite a small face and short dark hair. And she just said, "I've got to have the lucky heather. I've got to have the lucky heather. I want to put it in my hair." I went, "No, not on our watch. We are not having a piece of heather stuck to your head like that." So she was quite special, I can tell you. So I think that's the one that we all go, oh my goodness, do you remember the blessing over the dress? But do you know what? If that made her feel comfortable, that made her feel comfortable.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I just see that.
Yes.
And what sort of accessories do you stock?
Veils. We have a great selection. Of veils, because I think it just frames the dress, particularly if it's a simpler silhouette, because there's some of the simpler silhouettes of, say, Suzanne Neville in the crepes could almost be an evening dress in another colour. So I think once the veil goes on, then that just frames it.
Absolutely.
And that's the bride, isn't it? That's the bride. Even if she's only going to wear it for the ceremony and for some, some shots, and then it comes off. I just think it finishes it. It finishes it, and most brides go, "When else am I going to wear a veil anyway? I'm going to wear it on." Yeah. We do have some headpieces, but honestly, I find that a lot of girls don't want headpieces now. No. They just want the veil.
Yeah, we're not seeing as many. Interestingly,
no. I mean, okay, there's the headband that kind of quite what do you call it? Elizabethan type headband. Some girls really suit that, but I think you've just got to have a certain face because they are quite dominant there. Earrings, we sell a good selection of earrings.
And what length veil are you seeing at the moment?
My preference is to actually have just a 1-tier long veil. I mean, if somebody really wants to put it over the face because they want to go all out for that romantic feel, absolutely. Just it frames it again. Yeah. Whereas if it's to the hip, to me, it cuts. When people are seeing that back view, it cuts. But however, I think if someone is wearing the short cutie dress, and I do think actually the little waist length veil, really full, is gorgeous. It's just cute. It's very, very 60s, isn't it?
Yeah, love it. Yeah. I love a veil.
Yeah.
It's great for us in filming, especially when we do a
the
veil.
Breeze, so you get the fan out going,
yes.
Everybody keep blowing it, yes. There's just some great shots, aren't there, with the veil?
We love a veil.
With the veil, yeah.
And what about shrugs? Do you sell any shrugs at all?
That look seems to have gone. I mean, we used to be selling strapless dresses, and then somebody would say, "Oh, for the church, I need a little shrug, or I need a jacket." In the winter, lovely little fur boleros, and I was, it's April, May. I'm going to get cold, and I go, your adrenaline, will keep you going. Your wedding day will go back passed in a heartbeat, which is why I always say, have a video done, because
Yeah.
you're in it. It's almost you want to be later on looking out at it.
Yeah.
I just saw someone this morning who's getting married in Bucharest, and I'm just like the older bride, and she said, I'm going to have some photos, but I'm not having a video. You'd have loved me, Carol. I went, really? I said, honestly, I'm high visual anyway. I said, and I love even a 3-minute piece of video. I said, I'd really like you to think, because she started off by saying, yeah, and I think this is one of the things start to snowball. You have your budget, you have your ideas about what your wedding looks like, and then we're bored, we've had a glass of wine, there's not much on Netflix, or you're bored with whatever series it is, and you start going on the Pinterest, I could have, that's a good idea. And she said somebody wanted to have the sweetie cart, and I said, what are you doing that for? She said, well, I know. I said, how much? I said, 200 quid. She said, no, it's more than 200 quid. I said, well, is anybody going to remember the brand of sweeties you want? She said, yeah, and it's like the video. I went, no, I would invest in the video. And that's not just because I know that's what you do, because I just think, I said, your photos are lovely. I said, but that's one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I said, the video. I said, you can just have it short, sharp, sweet. And the photographer is a videographer. I said, please. I said, I beseech you, go and talk to him again. And she's getting married at this fabulous place in Bucharest. It's so, it's catnip basically for a videographer or a photographer.
So is there a wedding tradition that you really like?
I mean, obviously there's the throwing the bouquet, there's the speeches, etc. And the wedding tradition I like is really, it's something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. I just think that's lovely. And I Googled what it was about. I was like, something old it's the bride's link with her past, apparently. Poor old groom, or whoever you're getting married to.
It's always the bride.
Something old, something new. Something new is kind of looking to the future. Something borrowed is obviously people care about you, and then there's something blue. Apparently signifies. Don't know whether you know the answer to this, Carol. This is you in your Black Mastermind show. So something blue. Apparently is to signify faithfulness and loyalty.
Oh, wow.
Because I think it was in Roman times. It was something blue signified purity. It's probably linked with water, isn't it? Yeah. So I kind of sometimes like to look back at what those traditions were about originally. And I really do like that because, and particularly as they were actually saying this, there's something old is often, or something borrowed, it could be the old and borrowed, is a piece of jewellery maybe from a family member who's no longer with you. And I mean, I all start welling up when people do this, because often it will be a wedding ring, or I am actually getting quite upset now, and it's like a button from Dad's shirt. Sorry, I'm being genuine now. It's a button from Dad's shirt, and they ask us to put it in like a little pocket in the dress. And breathe, and I just think that is so lovely, because when someone entrusts us, say with somebody's gold wedding ring, to put in a little bag inside the dress, I think that just means we have really connected with that person. I need a tissue, not a glass of water. Bless you. No, it just always makes me feel. Yeah. And I think some of the other things that people do at weddings now is they will have some photographs quite often of family who are no longer with them. And I think that's really lovely.
It is, we often see the little, the little touches. And I love the fact that we had one actually, and we had a bride that had a veil, and they'd put the dad's
initials. I know, it's lovely, isn't it?
A little heart on the veil.
You're nearly doing the same as me now.
I'm terrible, and I'm just like you. When I see things like that when I'm filming, I start welling up. And
it's just lovely because it is about then. Yeah. It makes we're in business, aren't we? And we've seen lots of brides, and you've done lots of videos, and we've got to remember that this is so important to, and you just can't take it for granted that we are sharing in a real, like I said, a real life moment. Yeah. For people.
It is. It's amazing. Yeah. And I just feel it's such a privilege to be part of it all, as I'm sure you do, because you do go on a journey with them, don't you? And I'm sure, from that initial phone call through to the bride coming in, you do feel like you get to know them. And
I mean, honestly, we're like the confessional. It's kind of we try to keep the bridal party separate. Does that make sense? Yes. Because we take the bride off into the fitting room. We always say, look, it takes us a while to get in these dresses because they're all laced up, etc. Take a while to get into. And if people want to come in with them, because some girls are a little bit nervous, but we just say it's Big Brother eviction time. We're going to do the show, and it's much better because we get to know the bride. We get to know what she really wants. Honestly, it's like the confessional in there. The stories we've heard. Honestly, and sometimes we find out she's pregnant before her mother knows she's pregnant because they're going, something on me, and we go, letting us know.
Yeah.
Your secret is safe with us. Then often they'll just decide they are going to tell mum there and then. It's like, oh my goodness, let's get the tissues out. We'll get the fizz out, but not for the bride, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah, because you do get to know people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's why we do it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you weren't doing what you're doing, is there any other job you would rather, or you would have envisaged yourself doing?
They always say, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Absolutely.
All right. So I do love what I'm doing, even when we get a few of the cray-crays in, blessing the dress. And I thought, well, really, running my courses, I still do some training. Yes, I still do some training now, working with Middle Eastern companies. So I like doing that. I think it would be anything that's connecting with people and talking. But then I suddenly thought, what I would really love to do, I would like to be the hotel inspector.
Oh.
But, kind of White Lotus level, if you're watching White Lotus, on Sky. We're going to be talking kind of quite good. Because I train customer service and help people develop service levels for years and years and years in my previous job. And whenever I go anywhere, my filter is always through the customer journey and the touch points, which kind of sounds very boring, doesn't it? But it is.
Not at all.
And
so
honestly,
important.
I would love to be paid to go to some... I'm not bothered about the food I would like to. I don't want to be the Michelin food tester because I do love food, but that's not kind of my thing. It's just about the general levels of service because I think there are some very small things that places get wrong at all sorts of levels, whether it be at Pizza Express or whether it be at Maxi, fantastic restaurant. But the hotel inspector, I would love to do that and then be paid to be in fabulous places, but working as well, actually just filtering it through. What are they doing well? What could they improve? So that would be my dream.
That's a great answer. And actually that would be a great dream job, wouldn't it?
I could do that, couldn't I, when I
Still
retire
could.
from Bridal?
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously, I just think, because I rarely write a bad, TripAdvisor, I'll not do a bad review.
No.
I will go and talk to somebody. I'll just say, look, can I just, and I'm thinking, well, I am giving kind of free advice here because kind of usually you'd be paying my company, if I was still working, a lot of money for this. I'm just going to give you this feedback. I'm not going to do a 1-star review because I don't believe in that. I'm just going to give you this feedback, free, gratis, for nothing. Do with it what you will.
Yeah.
And I just think, because it's about the people. And it's usually about the people who are not delivering the service. But usually, sorry, I get on my soapbox now, a lecture. It's because they're not empowered to do it. They haven't been given the tools. They're not being given permission to do it. It's nearly always the personal service rather than the material service. Sorry, I'm going into lecture.
No, it's fine.
But I think, I'd love to do that.
Brilliant. And why do you think brides buy from Pantiles Bride rather than any other retailer locally?
I could say, longevity, darling, vacation, because we say, what marvellous. Because they know what they want. They know they want a clean, classic, contemporary, timeless, elegant gown. All right?
Yeah.
And nobody does it better than we do locally.
Yeah.
All right. You can go to London. You can go directly to the Suzanne Neville store. Of course you can. There are other boutiques, but that's what we specialise in. If that's what it's like, if someone wants sushi, they'll go to a specialist sushi restaurant. If they're not quite sure what they want, you'll go somewhere that has Mediterranean, bit of Chinese, bit of Indian, on the menu. So people buy from us because that's the look that they want. Yeah. It's iconic. It's timeless. And also, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. We're approachable. We do know what we're doing. I think we probably would after 28 years.
Well, thank you so much for coming in to talk to me today, Maria. It's been an absolute joy to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.